So we're working with Adobe Illustrator CS6. It's not the newest version, but that's what our school has. We have Adobe Illustrator's interface when we open up the program looks similar to Adobe Photoshop because it's made by the same company, but it is a little bit different. We still have the toolbar on the left-hand side. We still have these options here at the top. We still have the control panel just below that, and we still have a dock on the right-hand side. Whenever you open up Adobe Illustrator, you'll have to file open or file start a new project. So I'm going to file new right now so that I can get a new artboard open. I'm just going to call this Illustrator Play. We're just going to kind of play around with some of the functions in Adobe Illustrator for the first time here. I'm going to use letter size documents just fine. The orientation, letter size by the way is 11 by 8.5 inches, and the orientation can turn your artboard into portrait style, hamburger style, whatever you want to call it, versus hot dog style. I'm just going to flip-flop this to a hot dog style. CMYK is great, especially for printing, and the raster effects are set to 300 pixels per inch. That is great. So everything is kind of set up, so just in case we want to print it, that we can do that. So I'm going to hit OK. It's going to produce an artboard, kind of like Photoshop would, a blank sort of white area for us to work within. The good thing to note about Adobe Illustrator versus Adobe Photoshop is that the program actually wants to work with vectors, and vectors are more mathematic shapes that never pixelate. It's not made up of pixels anymore. So shapes, simple shapes like rectangles can be produced really easily. Simple shapes that are inside of that rectangle tool, if we click and hold and open up the gallery, there's a rounded rectangle. As we click and drag, we can hit up and down on the cursors of the keyboard to make the corners less rounded or more rounded. You can adjust that. Holding down Shift will allow us to get perfect proportions so that you can make squares and perfect circles and things like that. Then inside there's also ellipse, the ellipse tool. The ellipse tool makes ovals, circles, and such. If you hold down Shift, you get a perfect circle. If you let go, you can make ellipses of various sizes and shapes. Inside of that, there's also a polygonal tool that makes all kinds of polygons, hexagons, octagons, that type of stuff. If we hit up and down on the cursor keys now, it will increase the amount of sides on your shape, and then you can decrease the amount of sides all the way down to a triangle if you want. Holding down Shift at this point, this can keep your triangle straight and allows you to still allows you to change the size, but it allows you to keep that triangle straight on the on a floor or whatever. Inside here is also this thing called Star tool. You can click and drag to make a star. Hitting up and down on the cursor keys, you can increase the amount of points or decrease the amount of points going down again to a triangle, 3 points, and or you can have lots and lots and lots of points. Holding down the control key allows you to adjust the size of the points, the distance away from sort of circular center, which is kind of cool. And so you can make more like it kind of reminds me of like a sticker that you'd see on a sale item at the store or something. At any rate, every shape that you make is also referred to as an object in Adobe Illustrator. It's made up of anchor points and paths. Everything in Adobe Illustrator is made up of anchor points and paths. So when you click on it, you can see individual anchor points and lines in between. Those are called paths. Paths connect anchor points, and you can see how the shape is made with like those anchor points and with those paths. Every shape and every object also has a fill color and a stroke color. The fill color is what is inside the shape, so right now it has a white fill by default. If I double click on that little white box at the bottom of my toolbar, I can select whatever color I want. I can also adjust the stroke color by clicking on that stroke box. It's like kind of like a frame instead of being like a filled box. So you click on that, it comes forward, and then you can double click on it, and you can change the color of the outline. It's referred to as the stroke sometimes. So we can change the colors of that. The control panel allows us to adjust the shapes in whatever way we want. You can see here it says stroke, so you can change the thickness of your stroke to be thin or fat. There's also good to note that you can take away the stroke entirely. Right here, just below those color boxes, those swatches, you can click the None button, and that will take away the stroke completely because there will be no color or none. You'll see a red line that goes through that, indicating that there is no color in there. So it's kind of nice to be able to change the color and the fill. So the fill color and the stroke color. It's kind of nice to be able to take those things away entirely, so that you have like a see-through shape with an outline, or vice versa, like we did here. Let me think if there's anything else I want to show you guys today. Some basic tools. Oh, so shape tools are very great to use, especially when you have simple things to design. Simple shapes are great. There's also in here, one of the things that I'd like to point out is that there's this thing called the pen tool, and the pen tool can be used to create your own shapes by clicking to make points, and then eventually returning to the starting point. You can create closed shapes or objects, and you can choose colors for those shapes, those objects, and you can give it a stroke or take a stroke away or whatever you want to do to customize that. The pen tool also allows you to click and drag to create a Bezier handle, this handlebar or whatever, and it creates curved shapes. We'll talk a lot about the pen tool and how to use the Bezier handles in a later episode, but just wanted to show you that it's there so you can create some stuff. There's other tools in here that you can use to create shapes. Obviously there's a brush tool, there's a pencil tool, eraser tool can be used to erase on top of shapes, and so on. So that's what I'm going to show you for now. Our next video we're going to talk a little bit more about some of the secrets to controlling these shapes and changing what they look like. So I hope this helped you get started. I hope you'll play a little bit with shapes and with coloring.